Okay, so the first take is going to be about how piracy like has actually helped Microsoft become a stronghold in the tech industry. Now, this whole like take is my opinion. You might have a different opinion, but it's just something I noticed. I don't know how, but I just noticed it, and it doesn't go from my head. Like I always have that in the back of my mind. Like whenever I'm thinking about anything about Microsoft, it just feels like something that needs to be addressed, or at least something that I feel is very important, which nobody credits, and that's how piracy has helped Microsoft. So to understand this topic, we need to understand how Microsoft became popular. At least when I'm talking about Microsoft, I'm talking about Windows as an operating system. See, there's like different operating systems like Mac OS, Linux, but Microsoft's Windows has always been the leader. And we all know that if you see the percentages, Windows always is on top. Although Linux has like many more features, like and many more features, isn't like for the simple person, obviously it doesn't. But if you look into it, Linux is way better, and Mac OS is better when it comes to design and UI and overall usage experience. I feel Mac OS is way better. So why is it that companies mainly bundle their laptops with a version of Windows? Now for Mac OS, we already know that other companies can't bundle their laptops with macOS. It's not legal. Apple owns the software, and it's just an inconvenience. And Linux, they just don't do. So here's my theory: Windows is being a paid operating system was very easy to pirate, at least before. And this was conveniently during the era where people were just being introduced to computers, where a few people may have bought a legitimate copy of Windows, or like the decent amount of people did buy legitimate amount of copy. But if I'm looking like in small groups, only a few people may have bought a legitimate copy of Windows, and many other people, and where like if we are including libraries and schools and even some offices, bought only one legitimate copy, and from that they made different copies of Windows, which technically is pirating one copy. And this was seen in many countries which were developing at a rapid rate, especially where people couldn't afford buying Windows for themselves. So like especially in India or any South Asian country like India, like places which were like developing rapidly at that time, which weren't as technologically advanced as it is, had have higher case of piracy. We cannot deny. So this is just everything is my take. I'm just repeating. So you can imagine the number of people coming from different places and trying to learn how to use the computer. Especially this is like early 90s, and they're coming to different places like cyber cafe, local libraries. People come, and guess which operating system they used? Windows. Now it may have been a legal copy or a pirated copy, doesn't matter. They learned how to use the computer on Windows. Now most of these people, they learned their basics and they were accustomed to the UI and the general logistics behind operating a computer running Windows. So they kind of knew how to navigate things around in Windows. And if you have if you know how to do something, you kind of have the edge over using another operating system. Now if someone asks me to use Mac OS, I'll definitely take some 2-3 hours to getting accustomed to how to use Mac OS, a basic version of Mac OS. Whereas if someone gives me Windows Vista or Windows XP, which I haven't used in such a long time, or even Windows 98, I might be able to do better than that on Mac OS. So that, and many people could not afford running a computer during the time of rise of computers. But now, because how much things have progressed, especially in India or other countries, even in US, everyone is able to afford a computer, and people are able to buy more than one computer. And guess which operating system have bundled with their computer? Windows, because they learned and they know how to use it. So if they want to operate, they'll obviously go with Windows. And Windows is more like people are more comfortable with the usage of Windows because they've actually been able to afford a legal copy. And when they are able to afford a legal copy, like suppose my parents bought me a Windows computer, I mean, bought a Windows computer for the whole house. This is like early 90s. Everyone over there learns using Windows, right? So if they have the option in the future, they would prefer using Windows because they are more accustomed to the UI. So my parents use Windows. They bought laptops with like with Windows in it, and I grew up using Windows. And I'm pretty sure that if Windows still exists, which it will, and if I ever have kids, I will give them Windows because I know how to operate it well. So I think that's the only explanation I have. It being easy to pirate, or like during the early stages of Windows, helped many people get access to an operating system. And when many people get operating access to an operating system, they become accustomed to using the operating system. So then they prefer using it over the other things. And now when they have become rich enough, or when things have when or you can say when laptops or computers have become cheaper and people are actually able to afford it, people would rather take Windows. Is what It's an interesting take. With more explanation, it would be more clear. Hope you guys understood. So that's for the first controversial take. I want to know, Athar, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. And I think even most of the professional uh, offices and everyone, like whichever PC or whichever laptop they used to give their employees, they ran Windows. So all the professional side of the population also had Windows running. So I think that's one point. And I think Mac OS wasn't as old as Windows. Correct me if I'm wrong. But and another thing is Apple doesn't give access to, like, Apple keeps the software to themselves. So, like, it's not open source. It's similar to why other phone manufacturers are not using iOS, though it's very I mean, though it's optimized and stuff. It's just because Apple doesn't give their software to others, and Google with their Android and Microsoft with Windows have open sourced it. I mean, not open sourced, but they've allowed other vendors to use Windows. So I think that's another advantage which Windows had. Like, they didn't keep the software to themselves. They created the software, and they actually, fun fact, when we were making the history of Microsoft episode, the Windows was created, like, not for their own systems. Like, it was created for one of Intel's computers at that time. So Windows was not even created with the interest of Microsoft, like, for to use it in their own computers. It was made to be distributed to everyone, and it was made so that everyone can use it. So I think that's why they tried to make it simple, and they made efforts to so that it's easy for the people to learn. Like, one of their fails was they put some there's the I don't remember the feature. As we spoke about it in our history video, they created a there's a home thing, and there's a home environment type of thing, and then people, when they click on something, and it would relate to a computer function. I don't remember the feature. It is there in our history of Microsoft episode, so you can check that out. So I think Microsoft working on Windows to make it easier and simple to learn over Linux and maybe Mac OS. I think that's what gave them the edge. And Linux, I don't know how hard it is and to use. It's not easily available. And another thing about Linux is, like, it's not easy for the normal person to use, and it's like kind of more for the developers and people who know what they're doing. Like, they're into tech. So I think it's for those people, Linux is better. But Windows is like the more accessible kind of thing. Someone new to computer also can quickly learn with Windows, and I think that's what gives Windows the edge over the others. And I think piracy is just one factor which helped Windows grow, because I think even these major software companies, they would have just bought one copy and pirated it to all the other systems, as Gautam said. So I think pirating just helped them to get a more wider audience. Yeah, wider audience, I could say. But ultimately, it was Windows being simple to use and easily accessible is what helped them. It's similar to how more people like iOS compared to Android, because iOS is simpler to use, and Apple has full control over what you can do with it. Like, because of that, the privacy thing is better, and, like, there are no piracy stuff. Like, in Play Store, you have many of these malware apps, but you don't have that in Apple. So that's the basic difference.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like it's like Linux, it's good. Like it depends distro to distro, like how easy Linux is to use. But just I feel the installation process is just a bit. The installation process is just a bit too hard and complex for the average person. The average person to just start using it out of the box, or just like, oh, I got a new laptop, let me just load Linux on it to start, like for the average person. But I know there are some people who would do that. So I guess that's it for this topic. Windows, yeah, Windows is the biggest, and I think it will remain for a while. This is It is one short-term loss that Microsoft had to get long-term gains, is what I feel, by letting Windows being so easy to private. And technically, Windows is also kind of free now if you look at it. If you look at it into the small aspects of updates, where updates of Windows are free. But yeah, Microsoft now makes money through other ways, and I think it was a smart move, and it played out well for them. So that's it for this topic.